Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Thursday, 13 November. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about a Chinese court has rejected an appeal by a journalist jailed on espionage charges. New Zealand is beefing up its ties with Niue amid a Cook Islands row. Classic Kiwi wording. And the Ukrainian energy and justice ministers have resigned over corruption scandal. So firstly, Beijing's High Court on Thursday rejected an appeal by veteran Chinese state media journalist Dong Yu to overturn a 7-year jail term for espionage, his family told Reuters, calling the decision an act of persecution. Jesus Christ. Arrested in Beijing in February 2022 while lunching with a Japanese diplomat. The respected 62-year-old former Gangming daily editor and journalist was jailed in November for 7 years on espionage charges. His son confirmed to Reuters that the court had upheld the original sentence and given no reason for the rejection. So what? Well, it seems likely that he was probably doing journalism work rather than espionage, but some countries see that as being hand in hand, as you might say. And if you're conducting journalism in the wrong way or against things they don't like, they label it espionage because it can look very similar in some regards. And then you can find yourself in a bit of hot water, as this man has. So yeah, it seems likely that he was probably doing something they weren't too fond of, and they have punished him accordingly, which is shit, but it's China, so what do you expect at this point? Seems highly unlikely they're going to release him for any reason. And at his age, a 7-year jail term is probably not looking good. So that's a bit sad. Yeah, that would be my assessment, is that he's unlikely to have been conducting espionage and that this punishment is retribution for him looking into things that the Chinese regime were not too keen on. And next, New Zealand said on Thursday that it would strengthen economic and diplomatic ties with Niue, a self-governing island nation in free association with New Zealand, after their leaders met in Auckland. The move followed a deterioration in relations with Cook Islands, and with which New Zealand has similar ties. This week, New Zealand's Foreign Minister Winston Peters said New Zealand was extending until June 2026 its suspension of direct budget payments to the Cook Islands. So what? So for a bit of background context, the Cook Islands and Niue get money from New Zealand because they don't really have much of an economy themselves, and people from these islands can live and work in New Zealand freely. I think they also get New Zealand passports if they so wish. So yeah, this kind of all fell apart when China started trying to court them with a bunch of offers of support that they kind of hid from New Zealand for a bit, and New Zealand wasn't very happy about it. So yeah, it's good to see that relations are rebuilding because these islands are heavily reliant on New Zealand, and I think the loss of support from New Zealand will have affected them greatly. While China will give them some support, it's highly unlikely that it will be as free and fair as the support provided for New Zealand because, you know, they had a pretty good deal and a pretty nice situation going. But I know that's the world of geopolitics, right? China's always going to try and meddle with things. So the game's the game. Can't blame them for that. So yeah, I know. Hopefully things improve. And lastly, shortly after, President Volodymyr Zelensky called for her removal over a sweeping corruption scheme in the country's energy sector, Ukraine's energy minister announced her resignation. She said in a social media post that she has submitted her formal resignation, adding that she had not violated any laws. She is not known to have been charged in the case, which centers around allegations of a $100 million kickback scheme. And she said she has also not been named by investigators or prosecutors as having profited from the scheme. According to the Ukrainian Prime Minister, the former energy minister, Huh? According to Ukraine's Prime Minister, the former Energy Minister, who became the Justice Minister in July, has also offered his resignation. So what? I mean, this is good to see. These ministers who have been, kind of cast doubt upon them due to corruption allegations need to go. It's just not good at this current time. Corruption is one of the big things that pro-Russian people, and I mean even people who aren't that pro-Russian and are just not very pro-Ukrainian, use to try and demonize the Ukrainian government, basically claiming that, this whole war is about making money from the US and Europe, and it's all a sham, and that they're funneling all the money out, and etc. And while it's likely that there is some level of corruption throughout the country, and probably significant levels, to be completely fair, I don't think this is true on the whole. The government is, pretty good at actually trying to achieve what they're saying. Most of the money doesn't actually end up going to Ukraine in cash. It's spent on weapons in third-party countries that are then shipped to the country. So anyway, it's good to see that the anti-corruption probes are still going on and that they're cracking down and getting rid of significant and senior people if they are found to be corrupt. It goes to show that they're actually doing something. These are the types of people who you would shield if you could, and if you were being corrupt. So to have them publicly ousted is a good move, in my opinion, and shows that Ukraine is trying to get this shit sorted. So yeah, but I mean, this won't stop the absolute trolls online. If you want to see what I'm talking about, just go have a look on Twitter and you'll see an unrelenting torrent of information saying that all of Ukraine is corrupt and they're just stealing money from everybody. So yeah, I don't know. That's been your Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Maybe, if I'm not too hungover. See you!